Hey y'all, this is Angela Harris coming to you live. I'm so excited to be in the studio in our $1 million multiple listing home in Los Angeles with Briard Huggins. Many of you know, because you've been following us, that I wrote a book and it's called Where the Heart of a Woman Lies. And a friend of mine said, Angela, you should own everything about it when it's time to pitch, that you should go ahead and write the screenplay. And I was just sitting at home one day and I said, write the songs. And so in an hour, I wrote some lyrics, about 5 or 6 different songs, and reached out to a friend and was telling him about it. And you have these best moments, these best opportunities in your life where something happens. Well, I was introduced to Briard Huggins from a mutual friend of ours who said, I know this savant. I know this guy, Angela, who just has the ability to turn lyrics into absolute prime musical pieces. And so Briard and I met, we were introduced, and he is, what I love about him is that he is also similar to me. And I'm telling you guys, if you have some stuff that you want to do, you really need to pay close attention to what I'm talking about and what Briard does, because what Briard does is absolutely amazing. So I don't write songs. I don't write lyrics. And I didn't think I ever wrote songs. But Briard has this ability. He has become my muse. I told him I was trying to find another word. He's like my Black David Foster, because what Briard was able to do for me is that when I gave him lyrics, Briard had the ability he was like, I got it, Miss Angela. Immediately, his spirit was moved. He could get on oh my God, you guys should hear him. Liberace has nothing on him on the piano. He is absolutely, Elton John, maybe that's a better reference, has nothing on Briard and what he does. And so Briard and I collaborated on 2 songs so far. Best in Me was our first. And then, and actually, I think you grew me up, Briard, because Best in Me, I gave him lyrics, and I didn't play any really, in my opinion, significant role in that. I was just, when he sent me the music, I just cried when he sent it to me. He didn't know that my favorite instrument was the saxophone, and yet the first song he did, it had the saxophone in it. Oh, and my heart just melted, and he sent it to me, and I cried for days because it was so beautiful. I think that he grew me up. I think you grew me up, Briard, with having conversations and telling me what you were listening for, so that when we did Breathe Again, I had more thought process in it. I was like, And Briard was encouraging me, and that was huge, because here is this man who is brilliant, who is encouraging me and telling me you're underestimating you as to what you really understand or what you can contribute to the development of a song. And so I'm bringing Briard Huggins in now, and you guys have been seeing him, but just to be able to hear from you, Briard, a little bit of history about yourself, because we were just talking, and I think you shared with me that it was a gift that you were born with.
Yeah, 100%. Well, first of all, thank you for she's a man. This is Miss Ange to me. This is like my cool older aunt. I absolutely adore her. So I appreciate that, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So, and I started playing at the age of 4, literally, and I think we talked about this a little bit. I sat down at the piano at age 4 and just was picking out melodies and compositions. And at the time, my dad had bought my mom a piano right around 98. I was 4 or 5, and just one day they heard sounds coming from the other room, and they're like, well, we left the radio on, and they found that it was me. I was this big, and I was, doing my little thing, trying to mock a Charlie Brown Christmas. And so that's really when it started. And my parents were like, oh, this is something that's from above. We don't know what to do with this. And so they put me in lessons and did everything they could to nurture the gift. So, yeah, long time ago.
And interestingly, one of the things I think I love about Briard and a lot of the other millennials that I'm coming in contact, they are fearless. They're fearless. And so you just recently did a tour with the one, the only, the legend, Miss Gladys Knight.
I did.
And talk about that. It must have been an amazing experience.
Oh, it was just a humbling experience. That's, people always ask me, what's it like? just humbling. You know, I always also say, like, I never dreamt that anything like that would happen, especially being in association with somebody as great as she is. And so I would always tell my audience, I'd say, thank you so much for dreaming it for me, because I didn't have the bandwidth in my mind to think that that's what I would even be able to do ever personally. But I mean, it was just amazing. Just, you know, the whole experience. I mean, not only is Miss G just, you know, just an incredible icon in her own right, but just behind it all, an amazing person. And we had so much fun on the tour. The band members are all family. And just to be a small part of her 2022 tour, going over to the UK and Scotland and Wales was just first of all breathtaking. Just, I'd never been over there before, but just to be a part, like I said, of the whole entire experience, and to be asked to come along with her as her featured guest, there was no feeling like it. I mean, just incredibly humbling, and I'm forever grateful. If you're watching this, Miss G, you know I'm grateful. You know I love you. So it was just an incredible experience.
So you have a friend, Brian, who is a saxophonist.
I do.
Oh my God. And he is on the Best of Me. I'm telling you guys can get our songs. We actually put them on. They're on all of your musical avenues: iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify,
YouTube.
You can get them. And the cool thing about them is that we get such great reviews on those songs because we made them kind of universal. They're not specific to an ethnicity. They're not specific to a gender. Yet we're getting great response from people all over who just 100% love the songs. And even though I know you give me credit, and I won't take away from the words, melody is always the unifying, driving force. We could have taken those words and somebody else could have been a composer, and they could have put a whole different sound behind it, but the lyrics would be there. But it's one sound, one voice, that the lyrics lined up with the music. And I mean, we had people that were reaching out to us that were from all ethnic backgrounds. We had men and women chiming in that were like, oh, wow, I love this song. And so Breathe It, Best in Me, is singer was featured with Angelica, and then we have Breathe Again, which is Alice, and she is absolutely amazing. When I first heard the first few words of that song, we knew oh my God, it was her. We're working on our third song, which is Sentimental, and we're trying to find that right voice for that. We have two versions now that we're looking at, because he just came over and showed them to me. And of course I cried internally because, oh my God, I love them both. But you have a sound. I mean, you do ask me, what am I thinking? Am I thinking sultry? Am I thinking R&B? We have that basic conversation. But somehow you have this ability, Briard, to create a voice, a melody, a crescendo, all of that just mesmerizes the listeners.
You know, it's thank you for that. You know, it first of all, it's easy to do when you have great material that you start with and a great vision. And so I always want to make sure, and Ms. Angie, don't kill me for this. I always want to make sure that the visionary gets their just dues, because, you know, that's where it starts. You have to have somebody with that kind of drive and that kind of, even you talk about me being fearless, you're fearless. I mean, this woman has never really written lyrics until now. And what you guys hear, you know, I go in and I tweak them, you know, just to fit the melody, but really it comes from Miss Angie's vision, and the context and the storyline are there. And I think what you were saying, about kind of crossing demographics and making it a universal song, that's what I really like to do. And that's something that I explain to a lot of my clients is, you know, unless they have a particular vision of catering a song to a certain audience, you know, we try to make a collection of works that everybody can relate to. And I think that if you can bridge the demographics of age, of race, of gender, of whatever the case is, I think you're going to reach a broader audience. There's always a gem that somebody can
100%.
find in a song. And I think that's one thing we try to do with our songs is, you know, just to make them relatable, because everybody, unlike the Best of Me, for example, everybody knows that feeling, or how maybe one day wishes to have that feeling of having that person kind of complete them and be their other half, you know, and and to find that kind of connection with somebody, that it brings out the best that is in you because you bring out the best that's in them. You know, and so we all long for that kind of message. And so just, you know, with the themes that we have written about, you know, those are universal themes. So thus the music has got to be universal as far as production is concerned, and as far as the vocalist that can deliver the message correctly. You know?
100%. And interesting, I think when we did The Best in Me, I think I said, people would start saying, oh, this is the next wedding song. Right, we were hearing. I mean, we never thought that, because the movie was not necessarily about that. But I've had a couple of friends that have asked me, can they have it sung at their 25th vow renewal? Yeah. One of my friends said, I don't even need vows. I can just read the lyrics to The Best in Me, you know. And it was just like interesting how people, you know, float certain things, right, and how they matter. And let me say this, which I think is interesting, because I'm also getting a whirlwind of emotions from women. Primarily, that's who I deal with, and is women saying, "God, I've never felt that way. How wonderful would it be to feel that way about somebody?" And I think we're bringing out positive emotions. 100%. I think that Leah Robinson, who was here yesterday, was talking about, because of some of the challenges of dating, she felt hopeless, but she had to take on the word hopeful, right? And that's what I'm hearing from women who are reaching out to me, that they feel hopeful. They want this. They want this. My girlfriend called me yesterday, and she says, breathe again. She was listening to us. She was crying, and she said, once again, I've never felt this way about somebody. I've never had where I needed to breathe again. And so once again, in the positive, that breathe again really dealt with a couple who had finally come together. Right? And they finally had got past their miscommunications, all of these things. And now they were finally like spending time with each other, and they felt, we finally got this, right? And then you have your antagonist who comes in. And so one of the characters comes in and creates a bridge that is unbeknownst to both of them. And now they're no longer hanging out. They no longer have that connection. They're both feeling betrayed. And breathe again. You know, one of the first lyrics is, when I wake up in the morning and I see an empty space. When I walk around the house and I don't see your face, you know, as I try to go on and live my life, I find myself lost in time and space, you know. So it's relative, and it's pertinent to that, but it also speaks to those who have had those same moments. And that's how the song. So sometimes, Brianna, I was sharing with you, I look at some of the soundtracks for some of the movies, and when I listen to the songs, I love the songs, but they have nothing to do with the scene. We've talked about that. I mean, I think with that, it's first of all, it's all about what you want for your project. As we've said, you know, I tell her many times, because Miss Angie's got a very broad way of thinking about things, because she can see it all, you know. And so how are we able to go in and particularly capture some of those emotions that she has envisioned in these characters that she's created? And you know, with some of the songs that are in these movies these days that really don't have any kind of relation to the storyline, you know, I think we mentioned on the phone, I think they still fit depending on, like I said, what the creator's intent was. And so they may not have been able to find or come up with an original song to match that moment. But we know that Beyonce's, you know, whatever, Break My Soul, I'm just going to pull up something out of my head. That song captures that moment, you know, and it may not have anything to do with, you know, what's going on in the scene, but the emotion and the tone and the intentionality behind trying to capture what's going through a character's mind or what a character is going through. I think that's kind of the basis to, you know, those conversations that are probably being had in the production room, you know. And but in our case, though, it's so good because we are really capturing what is in the story. Absolutely. And now I actually, it just came to me. One thing that I said is true for what I'm saying about the songs, meaning this. I said to you, yeah, I got some great lyrics, but the melody, the sound that you give, right? So I'm going to use one example. I love Helium that Sia sings in 50 Shades of Grey.
It's a good song, good song.
None of the lyrics has anything to do with what happened in this scene, but I promise you the sound, the music,
production.
the production of it, that her heart is breaking. She's confused. She just is like, should I really be in this? What am I doing? I'm doing something wrong here. I shouldn't be here. Maybe I need to get out of this. There was the emotion within the melody, within the instruments that were used, that you could really kind of separate the words and take the music and get into that moment of that scene in that movie.
I agree. And I think that it all comes down to tone. I think the context is what it is, particularly if you're writing music for a particular project, that can go either here nor there, or whatever the case is. But I think the tone and the mood has got to be able to capture the emotion first. And then if you can capture the emotion, then you can tailor a song to go along with a storyline. That's what's so easy. In our case, with Breathe Again, Miss Ange sent me Helium, and she said, I'm thinking the emotion behind this song is got to be, because Sia's a very intentional singer. She's very intense and she's very powerful. How can we basically borrow from that and create something that is relevant to the story that I'm coming up with?
100%.
And obviously we ultimately found a very particular vocalist that could deliver that song in the way that it needed to, and that was through Alice.
We kind of said we need a Whitney or a Celine,
or
right?
almost like a Sia-ish. Like I think even just a Demi Lovato, like somebody who can hit the nail on the head. And I kid you not, Miss Ange was not being facetious about it. It's for real. The moment we heard the first two words, I jumped across the room, because in my mind I hear this is how the gift works. I'm able to hear the stuff. I'm able to hear how it's supposed to sound, and then when I hear it, I know that it's just like that connection that's just coming through. And
we weren't in the same room.
Yeah, and we know.
And when he sent it to me, he said, "Oh,"
I said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Are you sitting down?"
And you sent me, and he said, "I'm sending this to you."
Yeah.
I heard 1-2 words, and I was like, "Shut up!" I said, "This is her. This is it.
Yeah, this is it." Yeah, she's. If you just, by the way, shout out to Alice at Alice Official on Instagram. Check her stuff out. She really is an incredible vocalist, but she just killed it. She just captured it. And we're like, that's it.
And fell in love with it.
Fell in love with it.
One of the other reasons why it took it to the next level, because she absolutely loved the words. She loved what you did. That she even went into a studio on her own to record it, because she became that intentional. She became that attached to the song. And I thought that was, and that's what we're doing, you guys, with the songs. Briard listens to me. When I'm writing lyrics, I'm writing in the moment, in the emotion, just like I did the audiobook. And I never thought about doing an audiobook. And some of the people that were working with me said, you are the perfect person to do the audiobook. And I read the book, and I have to tell you guys, I cried in the audiobook. I laughed. I mean, all of the emotions I felt when I was writing it, I actually put it in there when I was reading the book. And so when I'm talking to Briard, like the one we're working on now, Sentimental, and we're working on Sentimental, that's the title of it. And I said, Briard, this is the opening to the movie. And I said, and I would like for this song to be significant, like The Way We Were, and To Sir with Love, and have these iconic memories of longevity. Yeah. And I was saying that this song, I wanted to open the movie. Now, granted, the movie hasn't been bought, but it's going to get bought. We want to present the whole package.
Yes.
I want them to be able to even look at Briard and to be able to say to Briard, we want you to score it, that it's already there. Because clearly, even though you have a song, I know sometimes in the movie, that song goes longer, right? Yeah. Because there's a need. So the scoring of it, so you can still have the concept, 100%. But the scoring of it may require some tweaking or some movement or some different things like that. 100%. So I'm really kind of like looking at this whole thing of being able to take this whole package and say, look, we've already done here's the screenplay, right? Here's the soundtrack for the movie. So now you're so ahead of the ball game, right? 100%. Conceptually. And I'm believing God. I'm believing that He is moving us. I'm believing that He brought us together, and that intentionally we're doing something that is going to revolutionize, just conceptually, that here is something that's out there, an amazing love story, an amazing movie that, by the way, there are 3 more books. So Briar got a whole bunch of more stuff you got to do, because there are 3 more. There are 3 more books. It's the Taste and Touch series. There's 4 novels associated to this. And I'm halfway done with the second novel. And I'm already thinking I already wrote one called Butterflies, because there's a butterfly scene. A story being told, and so I wrote a song called Butterflies, so that during that time the butterfly song can be. I haven't sent that to him yet, because Briard is busy. But I mentioned his friend. I mentioned his friend Brian, and he's a saxophonist, and
B. Thompson.
B. Thompson Music.
Yeah.
Absolutely a killer saxophone. I just have really met some most amazing young people that are dynamic, that are out there. And he just, when that saxophone came in on Best of Me, I was through.
Yeah, she didn't know it. That was a little surprise.
It was. I was through. I just came out of church. The folks thought I was crying about the word that had just been delivered, and that wasn't what I was crying about. I broke out in tears when you sent me that, and after church and stuff. So I'm just telling you guys, we do amazing stuff. Briard does amazing stuff. Get involved, get engaged. Let us know how you're feeling. Own it. Become a part of it. And we want to encourage you as we close up this segment, and you'll be hearing much more with Briard and me talking about various songs and different projects. But I just want to say to you, follow your dreams. It's never too late. I'm 60, and I'm finally walking into my truth of what I really love. So much other stuff I did. So follow your truths. Be encouraged. Open yourselves to meeting amazing people. Be willing to collaborate, because the best is yet to come.
That's it.